The Path of Purification, Visuddhimagga, or Bhadantācariya Buddhaghosa, published by Buddhist Publication Society, Kandy, Sri Lanka. Part 2. Concentration, Samadhi.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Chapter 4. The Earth Kasina. Extracts, passage 114 to 138. Herein, purification of the way is assessed together with its concomitants. Intensification of equanimity is absorption. Satisfaction is reviewing. So some comment. But it is said in the text, the mind arrived at unity, enters into purification of the way, is intensified in equanimity, and is satisfied by knowledge. And therefore, it is from the standpoint within actual absorption that purification of the way firstly should be understood as the approach, with intensification of equanimity as a function of equanimity consisting in specific neutrality, and satisfaction as the manifestation of clarifying knowledge's function in accomplishing non-excess of states. How? Firstly, in a cycle of consciousness in which absorption arises, the mind becomes purified from the group of defilements called hindrances that are an obstruction to jhana. Being devoid of obstruction, because it has been purified, it makes way for the central state of equilibrium, which is a sign of serenity. Now it is the absorption concentration itself, occurring evenly, that is called the sign of serenity. But the consciousness immediately before that reaches that state by way of change in a single continuity, and so it is said that it makes way for the central state of equilibrium, which is a sign of serenity. And it is said that it enters into that state by approaching it through having made way for it. That is why, in the first place, purification of the way, while referring to aspects existing in the preceding consciousness, should nevertheless be understood as the approach at the moment of the first jhana's actual arising. Secondly, when he has no more interest in purifying, since there is no need to repurify what has already been purified thus, it is said that he looks on with equanimity at the mind that is purified. And when he has no more interest in concentrating again what has already made way for serenity by arriving at the state of serenity, it is said that he looks on with equanimity at it as having made way for serenity. And when he has no more interest in again causing appearance of unity in what has already appeared as unity through abandonment of his association with defilement in making way for serenity, it is said that he looks on with equanimity at the appearance of unity. That is why intensification of equanimity should be understood as a function of equanimity that consists in specific neutrality. And lastly, when equanimity was thus intensified, The states called concentration and understanding produced there occurred coupled together without either one exceeding the other. And also the 5 faculties, beginning with faith, occurred with a single function, taste of deliverance, owing to deliverance from the various defilements. And also the energy appropriate to that which was favorable to their state of non-excess and single function was effective. And also its repetition occurs at that moment. Now all these 4 aspects are only produced because it is after seeing with knowledge the various dangers in defilement and advantages in cleansing that satisfiedness, purifiedness, and clarifiedness ensue accordingly. That is the reason why it was said that satisfaction should be understood as the manifestation of clarifying knowledge function in accomplishing non-excess, etc. of states. Herein, satisfaction as a function of knowledge is called the end, since the knowledge is evident as due to onlooking equanimity, according as it is said, he looks on with complete equanimity at the mind thus exerted. Then the understanding faculty is outstanding as understanding due to equanimity. Owing to equanimity, the mind is liberated from the many sorts of defilements. Then the understanding faculty is outstanding as understanding due to liberation. Because of being liberated, these states come to have a single function. Then the understanding faculty is outstanding as understanding due to development in the sense of the single function. Now as to the words, and so he has attained the first jhana on the Earth Kasina. Here it is first because it starts with a numerical series. Also it is first because it arises first. It is called jhana because of lighting, upanijjana, the object, and because of burning up, japana, opposition. The disk of earth is called Earth Kasina, Pathavi Kasina, earth universal, in the sense of entirety, and the sign acquired with that as its support, and also the jhana acquired in the Earth Kasina sign are so called too. So that jhana should be understood as of the Earth Kasina in this sense, with reference to which it was said above, and so he has attained to the first jhana of the Earth Kasina. When it has been attained in this way, the mode of its attainment must be discerned by the meditator as if he were a hair splitter or a cook. For when a very skillful archer, who is working to split a hair, actually splits the hair on one occasion, he discerns the modes of the position of his feet, the bow, the bowstring, and the arrow thus. I split the hair as I stood thus, with the bow thus, the bowstring thus, the arrow thus. From then on, he recaptures those same modes and repeats the splitting of the hair without fail. So, too, the meditator must discern such modes as that of suitable food, etc. Thus, I attain this after eating this food, attending on such a person, in such a lodging, in this posture, at this time. In this way, when that absorption is lost, he will be able to recapture those modes and renew the absorption. or while familiarizing himself with it, he will be able to repeat that absorption again and again. And just as when a skilled cook is serving his employer, he notices whatever he chooses to eat, and from then on brings only that sort, and so obtains a reward. So too, this meditator discerns such modes as that of the food, etc., at the time of their attaining, and he recaptures them and reobtains absorption each time it is lost. So he must discern the modes as a hair splitter or a cook does. And this has been said by the Blessed One. Bhikkhus, suppose a wise, clever, skillful cook set various kinds of sauces before a king or a king's minister, such as sour, bitter, sharp, sweet, peppery and unpeppery, salty and unsalty sauces. Then the wise, clever, skillful cook learned his master's sign thus: today this sauce pleased my master, or he held out his hand for this one, or he took a lot of this one, or he praised this one, or today the sour kind pleased my master, or he held out his hand for the sour kind, or he took a lot of the sour kind, or he praised the sour kind, or he praised the unsalty kind. Then the wise, clever, skillful cook is rewarded with clothing and wages and presents. Why is that? Because that wise, clever, skillful cook learned his master's sign in this way. So too, bhikkhus. Here a wise, clever, skillful bhikkhu dwells contemplating the body as a body. He dwells contemplating feelings as feelings, consciousness as consciousness, mental objects as mental objects, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. As he dwells contemplating mental objects as mental objects, his mind becomes concentrated. His defilements are abandoned. He learns the sign of that. Then that wise, clever, skillful bhikkhu is rewarded with a happy abiding here and now. He is rewarded with mindfulness and full awareness. Why is that? Because that wise, clever, skillful bhikkhu learned his consciousness sign. And when he recaptures those modes by apprehending the sign, he just succeeds in reaching absorption, but not in making it last. It lasts when it is absolutely purified from states that obstruct concentration. When a bhikkhu enters upon a jhana, without first completely suppressing lust by reviewing the dangers in sense desires, etc., and without first completely tranquilizing bodily irritability by tranquilizing the body, and without first completely removing stiffness and torpor by bringing to mind the elements of initiative, etc., and without first completely abolishing agitation and worry by bringing to mind the sign of serenity, etc., and without first completely purifying his mind of other states that obstruct concentration, then that bhikkhu soon comes out of that jhana again, like a bee that has gone into an unpurified hive, like a king who has gone into an unclean park. But when he enters upon the jhana, after first completely purifying his mind of states that obstruct concentration, then he remains in the attainment even for a whole day, like a bee that has gone into a completely purified hive, like a king who has gone into a perfectly clean park. Hence the ancients said, so let him dispel any essential lust and resentment, agitation as well, and then torpor and doubt as the fifth. Then let him find joy with a heart that is glad in seclusion, like a king in a garden where all and each corner is clean. So if he wants to remain long in the jhana, he must enter upon it after first purifying his mind from obstructive states. Extension of the sign. In order to perfect the development of consciousness, he should besides extend the counterpart sign according as acquired. Now there are two planes for extension, namely access and absorption. For it is possible to extend it on reaching access and on reaching absorption, but the extending should be done consistently in one or the other, which is why it was said, he should besides extend the counterpart sign according as acquired. The way to extend it is this. The meditator should not extend the sign as a clay bowl, or a cake, or boiled rice, or a creeper, or a piece of cloth is extended. He should first delimit with his mind successive sizes for the sign, according as acquired, that is to say, 1 finger, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 4 fingers, and then extend it by the amount delimited, just as a plowman delimits with the plow the area to be plowed, and then plows within the area delimited, or just as bhikkhus fixing a boundary first observe the marks and then fix it. He should not, in fact, extend it without having delimited the amount it is to be extended by. After that has been done, he can further extend it, doing so by delimiting successive boundaries of, say, a span, a ratana, the veranda, the surrounding space, the monastery, and the boundaries of the village, the town, the district, the kingdom, and the ocean, making the extreme limit the world sphere or even beyond. Just as young swans, first starting to use their wings, soar a little distance at a time, and by gradually increasing it, eventually reach the presence of the moon and sun, so too, when a bhikkhu extends the sign by successive delimitations in the way described, he can extend it up to the limit of the world sphere or even beyond. Then that sign appears to him like an ox hide stretched out with 100 pegs over the earth's ridges and hollows, river ravines, tracts of scrub and thorns, and rocky inequalities in any area to which it has been extended. When a beginner has reached the first jhana in this sign, he should enter upon it often without reviewing it much, for the first jhana factors occur crudely and weakly in one who reviews it much. Then because of that, they do not become conditions for higher endeavor. While he is endeavoring for the unfamiliar higher jhana, he falls away from the first jhana and fails to reach the second. Hence the Blessed One said, Bhikkhus, suppose there were a foolish, stupid mountain cow, with no knowledge of fields and no skill in walking on craggy mountains, who thought, what if I walk in a direction I never walked in before, ate the grass I never ate before, drank water I never drank before, and without placing her forefoot properly, she lifted up her hind foot. Then She would not walk in the direction she never walked in before, or eat the grass she never ate before, or drink the water she never drank before. And also, she would not get back safely to the place where she had thought, what if I walk in a direction I never walked in before, drank water I never drank before? Why is that? Because that mountain cow was foolish and stupid, with no knowledge of fields and no skill in walking on craggy mountains. So too, bhikkhus. Here is a certain foolish, stupid bhikkhu, with no knowledge of fields and no skill, quite secluded from sense desires, secluded from unprofitable things, in entering upon and dwelling in the first jhana, which is accompanied by applied thought and sustained thought with happiness and bliss born of seclusion. He does not repeat, develop, or cultivate that sign, or properly established it. He thinks, what if, with the subsiding of applied and sustained thought, I entered upon and dwelt in the second jhana, which is with happiness and bliss born of concentration. He is unable, with the subsiding of applied and sustained thought, to enter upon and dwell in the first jhana, which is with happiness and bliss born of concentration. Then he thinks, what if, quite secluded from sense desires, secluded from unprofitable things, I entered upon and dwelt in the first jhana, which is with happiness and bliss born of seclusion? He is unable, quite secluded from sense desires, secluded from unprofitable things, to enter upon and dwell in the first jhana, which is with happiness and bliss born of seclusion. This bhikkhu is called one who has slipped between the two, who has fallen between the two, just like the foolish, stupid mountain cow, with no knowledge of fields and no skill in walking on craggy mountains. Therefore, he should acquire mastery in the 5 ways, first of all with respect to the first jhana. Herein, these are the 5 kinds of mastery: mastery in adverting, mastery in attaining, mastery in resolving, that is steadying the duration, mastery in emerging, and mastery in reviewing. He adverts to the first jhana, where, when, and for as long as he wishes. He has no difficulty in adverting. Thus, it is mastery in adverting. He attains the first jhana, where he has no difficulty in attaining. Thus, it is mastery in attaining, and all the rest should be quoted in detail. The explanation of the meaning here is this. When he emerges from the first jhana, and first of all adverts to the applied thought, then next to the adverting that arose interrupting the life continuum, either 4 or 5 impulsions impel with that applied thought as their object. Then there are 2 life continuum consciousnesses. Then there is adverting with a sustained thought as its object and followed by impulsions in the way just stated. When he is able to prolong his conscious process uninterruptedly in this way with the 5 jhana factors, then his mastery of adverting is successful. But this mastery is found at its acme of perfection in the Blessed One's twin marvel, or for others on the aforesaid occasions. There is no quicker mastery in adverting than that. The Venerable Mahamoggallana's ability to enter upon jhana quickly, as in the taming of the royal Naga serpent Nandopananda, is called mastery in attaining. Ability to remain in jhana for a moment consisting in exactly a finger snap or exactly 10 finger snaps is called mastery in resolving, steadying the duration. Ability to emerge quickly in the same way is called mastery in emerging. The story of the elder Buddhaghosa may be told in order to illustrate both these last. 8 years after his admission to the community, that elder was sitting in the midst of 30,000 bhikkhus possessed of supernormal powers, who had gathered to attend upon the sickness of the elder Maharohana Gutta at Tarambatala. He saw a royal supanya bird swooping down from the sky, intending to seize an attendant royal naga serpent as he was getting rice gruel accepted for the elder. The elder Buddhaghosa created a rock meanwhile, and seizing the royal naga by the arm, he pushed him inside it. The royal supanya gave the rock a blow and made off. The senior elder remarked, "Friends, if Rakita had not been there, we should all have been put to shame." Mastery in reviewing is described in the same way as mastery in adverting, for the reviewing impulsions are in fact those next to the adverting mentioned there. When he has once acquired mastery in these 5 ways, then on emerging from the now familiar first jhana, he can regard the flaws in it in this way. This attainment is threatened by the nearness of the hindrances, and its factors are weakened by the grossness of the applied and sustained thought. He can bring the second jhana to mind as quieter, and so end his attachment to the first jhana and set about doing what is needed for attaining the second. When he has emerged from the first jhana, applied and sustained thought appear gross to him as he reviews the jhana factors with mindfulness and full awareness, while happiness and bliss and unification of mind appear peaceful. Then as he brings that same sign to mind as earth, again and again, with the purpose of abandoning the gross factors and obtaining the peaceful factors, knowing now the second jhana will arise, there arises in him mind though adverting, with the same Earth Kasina as its object, interrupting the life continuum. After that, either 4 or 5 impulsions impel on that same object, the last one of which is an impulsion of the fine material sphere belonging to the second jhana. The rest are of the sense sphere of the kinds already stated.